Hi there.
That's
My
why
name
he's
is John
the
Puckett, private with the 1st Mad River Light Artillery. Here today to tell you a little bit about our gun. So this is an exact replica of one of the 2 guns that was possessed by General George Rogers Clark that he stole from the British in Vincennes, Indiana. Because leading up to this time period, it was illegal for the colonists to manufacture any cannons. So all of them that the 1st Continental Army had were either stolen from the British or gifted to us from the French. And what makes this gun special and unique is that it's made out of brass. 555 pounds of it, to be exact. That's what denotes the term light artillery, because most guns during this time period were made out of iron and would have weighed in close to 1,000 pounds. Proper gun crew to man a gun of this size would be approximately 12 to 15 men, but you have 3 gunners posted on the gun. 1 on this side to operate the sponge and the ram. The sponge is used to extinguish any hot embers or sparks inside the barrel after it's been thoroughly wetted down. The ram to seat the charge into the bell or breech of the gun. The worm here behind me, with its long corkscrew spikes on it, be sent down the barrel to search for any debris or miscellaneous that could be left behind from previous shots. And your last gunner be on the rear of the gun, tending to the vent, and then once the cartridge is loaded and rammed into the breech, to pick and prime, which you would insert a long spike down through the vent hole to puncture the cartridge, and then insert a quill filled with gunpowder to prime the gun ready to fire. At which point, once it's ready to fire, the order is given to advance the lens stock, which is a piece of rope that's been soaked in saltpeter to make it flammable, and it would be brought in to step out and touch to the quill to ignite it and fire the gun. Now the rest of the crew involved would denote a gun commander, a powder monkey, a shot monkey, and then 6 men that they would be tasked with taking ropes attached to these large trunnion hooks, that after the gun fires and recoils, they would take the ropes and drag the gun back into battery. A proper field gun of this size was quite an operation. And as you can see here to the right of the gun is the limber. That would be the pintle. The large spike would be inserted through a hole on the back of the trailer to make this all one unit, 4 wheels that it rolls, and has a turning and pivoting point. You would also have 2 oxen or 4 horses attached to the gun. Beyond that, the gun would also be accompanied by a magazine and supply wagon to haul powder, shot, various miscellaneous camp supplies, and you would have teamsters that would tend to that. The 2 boxes on the gun are magazine boxes. For combat purposes, they would be removed from the gun and stored 20-25 yards away to ensure that no stray sparks or embers get to them to ignite the powder inside. One of the good things that made these guns so useful was their versatility. Anything that will fit down the barrel can theoretically be fired. So you have round shot, and then the adapted shot that we borrowed from the Navy, which also known as expanding shot, bar, chain, cross shot. You have grape shot. Now all of these were used by the Navy to break down enemy ships' sails, masts, rigging, and they worked wonders for anti-personnel purposes. And if that failed, you could use something called canister shot, which is basically a soup can filled with musket balls and sawdust, or dirt, anything that would act as a filler. You would wrap it in cloth, stuff it down the barrel, and you effectively turn this into a giant shotgun. Good for anything close range up to 100 yards away. When that fails, you have something called salad shot. Used in desperate times and desperate measures, it was typically broken glass, rocks, and horseshoe nails that would be stuffed down the barrel. And while this could be extremely damaging to the gun, it's also extremely damaging to the people that were trying to attack it. Lastly, this gun being an exact replica of one of Clark's guns, unfortunately the camera can't see it from this angle. This gun has several marking insignia, that being of the British crown with King George's insignia on it, and lastly Ligonier, the manufacturer of the gun, the master armorer who was brought in to design it. Clark's two guns, one of them disappeared after his campaign, the other one ended up in a museum in Toronto, a humanities and history museum. But if you set this gun right next to Clark's gun in the museum, the only way you can tell them apart, ours is dirty. It gets used. Beyond that, if you have any more questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to visit us at the Fair at New Boston held Labor Day weekend. We'd be glad to give you a full education tour. Thanks for watching.